Hello, everybody. This is Ohio Dan again. I wanted to start kind of a new mini series on my channel that I'll probably call something like Nice Guys Finish Last or Nice Guys or something along those lines, where I talk about kind of the natural consequences that you get if you try to be a nice guy in certain situations where this is a really poor approach to take. And especially as far as me learning the hard way, how, if you always try to give people the benefit of the doubt and you always try to, do for people, you ultimately end up letting people take advantage of you and you end up putting yourself in a bad situation time and time again if you're a so-called nice guy when you're around people who are basically just going to act like sharks and just uh, pretty much make it to where you're going to be miserable for as long as you have that nice guy attitude. In this video in particular, I wanted to talk about something that I've experienced, from my late teens through my 20s and onward, and that I think a lot of other people just experience one way or the other, in which they have a choice once they realize that they are in a toxic relationship. Now, when I talk about relationships for the purpose of this discussion, for this video, I'm not talking about just intimate relationships. I'm not talking about just boyfriend, girlfriend, or, having a significant other type of relationships. I'm talking about anything that ranges from, guys that you hang out with, that are just friends that you spend time with, or people in your family that you have certain relationships with, or certain connections with as a result of those people being in your family. Whatever the case may be, I think this applies to any potential situation where you, in one way or another, come to realize that your relationship with a particular person is toxic or unhealthy, or maybe it's just very one-sided and you don't really get anything out of it. Once you come to this realization, when you get to this point that where you understand that this is a really one-sided relationship, it's not really mutually beneficial, I'm giving a lot more than what I'm getting in return, or it's just unhealthy because this person doesn't respect me, or doesn't think that I'm really worth being a friend, or this person doesn't really see me as their significant other, but yet I'm expected to go along with the whole charade that this person actually treats me well, or that this relationship is actually worthwhile for me. Once you get to that point, and I've noticed, like I say, with myself in the past, you basically have two options. You can come to realize that a personal relationship is just not worth your while, but you try to work on it anyway. You stay in the relationship, again, whether it's a relationship with a woman, or whether it's just a friendship, or someone in your family who really isn't a very supportive member of your family. The first option is to try to work on it, to try to stay in the relationship, improve the situation, and essentially make it work, make it better over time, trying to change the dynamics so that it becomes healthier and more balanced. To accomplish this, there are a few ways that you can go about trying to improve a relationship. You can either work with the person in an attempt to express how you're being treated, how you want things to change, and just trying to have the approach of working with the person that you have a toxic relationship with, so that things can get better. Or you can just acknowledge the shortcomings of the relationship while trying to avoid the toxic or unfair elements that affect you negatively. In any case, this is going to be an uphill battle, and it requires a lot of work and willingness to try to carry the relationship, to try to fix it, especially when the other person, like I say, really doesn't respect you in the first place and really is the only beneficiary of the relationship in the first place. Now, in all of the experiences that I've had with this option, the option of trying to fix the relationship, the option of trying to make it to where it's not so unhealthy and one sided, there comes a time later, every time I've made this attempt, when the relationship or to where the relationship will be exposed for what it is. Weeks, months, or years down the road, there'll be what I'll call a critical event that forces you to recognize the unhealthy nature of your relationship with this person. For me, this is usually taken the form of finally getting pissed off after getting exploited one too many times, or getting tired of being disrespected after having supported someone in the past. Again, to the point where I end up getting angry or lashing out at this person. But this can actually take a variety of forms. A critical event can take the form of, a supposed friend or significant other showing their true colors in a way that is just undeniable. So, for example, a physical kind of confrontation with someone where, for whatever reason, a person that you don't know or a person that you don't even want to have a relationship with wants to fight you, and this friend or this person who's supposed to be on your side shows that they're not on your side and doesn't back you up. Or maybe it's something as simple as a person that you have a toxic relationship with deliberately leaving you stranded somewhere when you need a ride. Or maybe a person gets physically or emotionally abusive in a way that's undeniable. Or in the case of intimate relationships, this person cheats on you. This person doesn't respect you enough to even be loyal to you, or, to be monogamous in whatever relationship that you have. And at this point, once you confront the person, you end up looking like the bad guy. And this is especially the case if you're dealing with a woman, because that person, like I say, in particular, a woman, can just pretend to be innocent and act like you're the one creating the issue, when in reality, it can be a product of years of putting up with this person's bad behavior. You can be angry with how you've been treated by this person, but mutual friends are likely to see you as the aggressor and the instigator of trouble because they don't have the full story. They don't really know that, you've tried to be supportive of this person and this person's just disrespected you and treated you poorly. They just see you getting upset, and so especially if it's a girl, you're the bad guy pretty much in any case. Now, the second option, when you realize that you're in an unhealthy relationship with someone, that basically, your dealings with the person are completely toxic and not mutually beneficial in any way. The second option, once you've realized that a relationship has become toxic for you, is to immediately decide to end the relationship. And there are multiple ways of doing this that can range from confronting the person directly, or, all the way to ghosting that person and just eliminating any future contact that you'd have with that person. So, in any case, regardless of which option that you choose, as far as how you end the relationship on your terms, you decide that this person isn't worth being a part of your life due to the one-sidedness of the relationship that you have. And so you decide to move on to other people and challenges in life. Now, the point of me illustrating this kind of contrast in strategies in terms of one option being trying to fix the relationship, trying to put up with the negative aspects, trying to ignore the fact that it's an unhealthy relationship and that it's not really beneficial to you, and, in some cases can lead to you putting up with some sort of physical or emotional abuse. The whole point is to contrast that with just saying, you know what, I'm done with this unhealthy relationship. I see it for what it is. I've given it a shot, and I'm just not going to continue to take part in, some sort of association that's not beneficial to me. The reason why I draw these kind of points together, and the reason why I go through this description of the two different options, is because in all the experiences, both in terms of what I've gone through and what I've seen with other people, trying to fix a one-sided or toxic relationship inevitably ends either after you decide to get out, or you get to the point where you can no longer deny the unhealthy connection that you have with this person. If someone is willing to exploit you or treat you poorly, regardless of the connection that you once had with this person or the good elements that you think you had in this relationship, once you've come to the conclusion that it's no longer a good relationship for you, it's far better to just cut them loose now instead of facing the inevitable later. Because sooner or later, that person is going to throw you under the bus. Sooner or later, you're going to have to fully recognize that it is toxic, and trying to continue to be with someone who cheats on you in a relationship, or in the case of guy friends, the most common example I've experienced is the one where basically you have a guy who always has to prove that he's more macho than you. He has to prove that you're a pussy. He has to make it out to be like he's tougher than you, because that's his way of trying to basically assert his place in the dominance hierarchy, you know, and he always has to try to portray himself as more masculine and macho, and the end result is that even though he thinks that he's your friend, he thinks that you can just hang out together and whatnot, he really is just the asshole of the group. He's a jerk. And with women, like I say, it can involve so many different situations where the woman's cheating on you or she's being abusive. And with family members, it can take the form of just, again, someone taking you for granted, expecting you to be supportive of them, but then disrespecting you all the time, and basically counting on the fact that you're related to that person as a justification for everything that they do, as a justification for expecting you to still put up with their crap, basically. So when you find yourself in this situation, it's important to recognize it as quickly as possible, because no matter what you do, if this person continues to take advantage of you, whether it's weeks or months or years from now, this person will throw you under the bus and make you look bad in the process. So if you've determined that a certain personal relationship that you have is toxic or not mutually beneficial, the better choice is to always end it immediately and then just move on to better things. Now, as a last point in this video, I want to say that I'm not necessarily talking about any time that you have a disagreement with someone. I'm not saying that as soon as someone does something that you don't like, that means that relationship is toxic and you have to just drop that person. What I'm saying is, once you've taken a step back and you've said, you've said to yourself that, I once upon a time got something out of this relationship, or at least I thought that I did, or once upon a time it was cool to hang out with this person, or once upon a time I considered this person family, but now we've gotten to a point, clearly because of the evidence at hand, that this person doesn't respect me, or this person's willing to cheat on me, or this person, like I say, in the case of guy friends, has to prove that he's higher in the dominance hierarchy than I am, that he's more masculine and I'm just a pussy and all that kind of stuff. I then, if you're in this position, you then take a step back and say, this relationship is toxic and I'm done. I'm not going to be part of this, whether it's exploitation or just general one-sidedness or just general toxicity that you have with this person. I'm not going to be part of it anymore, and I'm just going to I don't want to use the phrase too many times, but go my own way. I'm going to not be part of this kind of situation anymore, because what I've figured out the hard way is that if you try to be a nice guy, if you try to just make a relationship work all by yourself, if you try to, ignore the negative aspects of the relationship or the association that you have with someone in your personal life, eventually you're going to pay the price for it. Eventually, this person's true colors, and in what I call it a critical kind of event, eventually this person's you know real kind of relationship with you, as far as not respecting you and not caring about you, eventually that's going to come out. And so it's better to end it now and move on, whether it's a romantic, relationship with a woman, or whether it's a friendship, or whether it's someone in your family who just really isn't supportive and it's just a waste of time, in all honesty, for you to try to talk to. It's better to acknowledge all of that now and cut the strings and move on, than it is to pretend that things are okay and pretend that it's a worthwhile relationship, only to have it blow up in your face later when the situation's a lot worse, and when you've gone through a lot more crap with this person, only to get to that same point where that person really isn't worth being part of your life anyway.